Today we're looking at vocabulary once again, and we're already onto the crime section. Now, crime's all got a lot of vocabulary, really, and you can find some other videos up on YouTube that I've done on crime vocabulary. I'm sure there are many others as well by other people. So we're just going to look at the different forms of the word for the crime, the criminal, so two different nouns, but the abstract noun, the crime, the physical noun, the person, the criminal, and the verb as well. So let's go through these quite quickly, and then we'll have a look at a small exercise. So arson, not a very well-known crime, is the crime of setting fire to something. And I just mean that this word isn't well-known among TEFL students. Usually it's the one they don't know. But it is a crime, and of course it's the crime of setting fire to something. So this is the verb. And by the way, if you want to know the difference between, it's a good idea to be confident with the difference between set fire to something, which is when you actively set fire to something. You're an arsonist when you set fire to something. But we also have the verb phrase to catch fire. Yeah, to catch fire. And we use this when something starts burning, but it's not somebody's fault. Nobody has started it. Nobody has started the fire themselves. Nobody set fire to something. So you might say something like, it was a very hot summer and the forest caught fire. Yeah, maybe the peat in the ground or something like that, the oil in the ground caught fire and caused a big forest fire. So then we would say the forest caught fire. So hello, Lolly Lolly. Hello, Romelia from Romania, I believe, if I remember rightly, and Sarah. So next we have assault. To assault somebody is to beat somebody up. So I've put that in the verb column as well. To beat somebody up is more common, more informal English. Assault somebody is more legal English, but it's a good word. I wouldn't say that it's too formal for an essay, certainly not. It's a legal word. And assailant would be the attacker. Yeah, the attacker would be called the assailant. There probably are a few other words as well. And if anybody wants to put them down on the chat, then please do, and I'll let you know what I think of them. So hi, Vitaly. Hi, Humpty Dumpty in Siberia. And hi, Susanna. Okay, so the next one is blackmail. And blackmail is the crime where you have some kind of compromising material, very often photographs. Yeah, maybe you take photos of somebody in a compromising position. Maybe you take photos of somebody and they are having an affair in these photos. They are kissing somebody else, and you threaten to tell their wife or to show the photos to their wife if they don't give you £1,000. And that would be blackmail. Okay, it's a form of blackmail. The person is called a blackmailer. There was a very famous blackmailer in the Sherlock Holmes stories. I think it was Charles Augustus Milverton. And the verb is to blackmail somebody. Okay, the next one is bribe. Bribe is when you give money to somebody in order to gain favors, yeah, in order to gain some kind of special favor. So you might, the most obvious one is bribing a policeman, perhaps if he catches you doing something illegal and you try to bribe him. But you also might try to bribe the judge or the jury, yeah, if you're in court. And we don't actually have a word for the criminal for bribe, or I couldn't think of one anyway. If you can think of one though, guys, please let us know. So the next one is drug dealing, or drug trafficking is also another way of referring to this crime. And the criminal would be a drug dealer. And the verb would be to sell or deal or traffic drugs. I think that's really quite clear. Fraud is another crime. Now, I found a fraudster. It wasn't in the book that I was looking in, but I don't see anything wrong with a fraudster, a person who commits fraud. Although I must admit, it's not often used for formally in a legal sense, like assailant. It's normally used in the newspapers to describe some kind of con man. And hello, Efrain from Mexico. And I want to make this clear that a con man is a type of trickster. Yeah, it's a type of, it's somebody who cheats other people. So a fraudster is very often a type of trickster. But the crime of fraud is financial crime. So if you're cheating, if you're an accountant and you're cheating on your taxes, you're making sure that you take some of the money or something like that, then that's fraud and you are committing fraud. Okay, then we got kidnapping. I think everyone's heard of this one. It's where you take usually a youngster, but any person will do, usually a famous rich person, and then you demand that the family pay money so that you release that person. And you would be called a kidnapper, and the verb is to kidnap. Mugging is when it's the crime of stealing from somebody, but with the threat of violence. So mugging usually takes place on the street. I think it takes place very often, sadly, nowadays. I think quite often people will look, groups of youngsters will look for easy targets. And if they can see an easy target, then they may well threaten that target, perhaps just with the threat of violence, but they say, give me your phone, otherwise I'll punch you or whatever. And that's a mugger. And that the verb is to mug somebody. So that's it's a type of theft, a type of stealing. And I want to make it clear that theft and stealing are general words for any kind of thieving, for when you take something from somebody, any kind of stealing. So theft and stealing are general, but mugging is very specific. Just like pickpocket or pickpocketing or shoplifting, they're really specific. They're specific types of theft. Hello, Sana, and hello, Elmira. So next we've got rape. This is forcing yourself sexually on somebody. It's obviously one of the worst crimes. We would say a rapist, and the verb would be to rape. Robbery is stealing, but again, it's more specific than just stealing or thievery. Robbery is it's usually when you steal from a bank. You rob a bank, but you can rob somebody as well. And if you rob somebody, you can use it for when you pickpocket from somebody, or you can use it for when you mug somebody. You're robbing somebody, whether you mug them or pickpocket them. Pickpocket is without the threat of violence, but still you're robbing them. So robbing is stealing from a person, to rob somebody. But to rob a bank means to steal from the bank. Usually they put things over their heads and, want money. They demand money straight away. Otherwise they might start shooting, something like that. So they're bank robbers or robbers. Next, sexual harassment. This is being a pest at work, some kind of sexual pest. So bothering other people in your department, usually members of the opposite sex, and making sexual demands or rude jokes or anything that makes them feel uncomfortable. I'm not actually certain about where the law lies with cases like this, because fortunately I've never been involved in any kind of sexual harassment case. Okay, next is smuggling. This is taking contraband material across the border. And so smuggling is that crime where you take, it could be drug smuggling, it could be arms smuggling, but it could even be tobacco smuggling or alcohol smuggling if you're not paying the tax when you take it over the border. It's contraband, right? You've got terrorism, which I think everybody knows, a terrorist, to hijack planes or set off bombs. You set off bombs. You put the bomb somewhere, and then you set the bomb off. And so to set off a bomb means to activate a bomb. Just like, we've got some other ones, haven't we, with set off. He set off the alarm. The burglar set off the alarm. If the burglar is robbing a building, and, he's trying to rob something from the building, and he sets off the burglar alarm, he activates that alarm. And you can also set off fireworks. That's something to remember. Okay, last word is theft. A thief, a general word for somebody who steals, and to steal something. Okay, so I'm going to leave these questions for you to do on my website. I've got the answers in there, but I'm going to take the answers out, and you can do them on my website. So for those questions, going to have to come to skype-lessons.com, guys. I think you know where it is now. Head there, and then you'll be able to practice with some of those words. But let's go on to some more crime words. So at the weekend, 3 masked men held up the post office in broad daylight and made off with almost £10,000. So held up, first of all, means to rob somewhere, usually a building. To hold up a post office, to hold up a bank, it's to rob that place. So you can use hold up for bank robbery. Held up a bank, held up a post office. In broad daylight means right in the middle of the day when everybody could see them. It's a good expression, quite often seen in crime. And made off with, ran away with, made off, to make off with means to run away with or to run off with. These phrasal verbs are exactly the same. So remember that make away or make off with means the same as run away or run off with. Do try to learn these phrasal verbs in clusters, and do consider buying my book to learn these phrasal verbs in clusters. Okay, in the wake of this crime, several witnesses came forward describing all 3 perpetrators as tall and well built. So in the wake of means in the aftermath of. It means as a result of this crime, or no, sorry, not as a result of, but after this crime, basically, the resulting consequences of this crime were. So yeah, in the wake of, a wake usually happens after a funeral. So you can see why it's related to aftermath. But yeah, in the wake of, oh, in fact, somebody told me this is related to waves, and that's why you get wakeboarding. And yeah, that makes perfect sense. So in the wake of means in the aftermath of. Several witnesses came forward, and that just means they came forward to the police and announced themselves as witnesses to the police, and they may be able to help, describing all three perpetrators. A perpetrator is a culprit, is the person responsible for a crime, and culprit and perpetrator are synonyms. The police also received an anonymous tip-off. Now, to tip the police off, or to give them a tip-off, means to tell them about a crime that has taken place. Quite often you will be grassing somebody up if you are tipping them off, because to grass somebody up means to give their details to the police. But yeah, to tip the police off means to give them some kind of details about a crime. So the police received an anonymous tip-off that led them to find the getaway vehicle. So the getaway vehicle is the car that helps you run away from a bank robbery, or not run away, but drive away. The car in which you drive away from a bank robbery. The car had been stolen at gunpoint. Yeah, if something happens at gunpoint, that means that they used their guns to steal the car. They threatened to shoot the owners of the car, and the car was stolen at gunpoint. So it had been stolen at gunpoint a few days before. Yeah, that's why it's got the had been stolen, before the robbery took place. The bank robbers, armed with a shotgun and 2 pistols, demanded that the bank staff hand over all the cash that was kept in the safe. So to hand something over means to give. Yeah, it just means to give. They also threatened to do away with 3 customers who happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time if they didn't turn over their wallets and valuables. So to do away with somebody means to kill. Yeah, it's a phrasal verb that means to kill. Again, it's in this book, phrasal verbs with do. And if you're in the wrong place at the wrong time, I think this is clear. Yeah, it just means you're coincidentally in that place and something terrible happened. But it was just bad luck that you were in that place at that time. And if you turn over your wallet, to turn over usually means to take something like that and put it like that. If I turn my book over, then I do that. Yeah, that's how I turn it over. But if you turn over something to the police, you can turn over evidence to the police, and you can turn over your passport to the police. And here we're turning over your wallet, and it just means handing over. Here, turning over is the same as handing over. I mean, you would normally use it when the police want something from you, and so you turn it over. Yeah, not necessarily the police, but if somebody wants something from you, you turn it over. Okay, the crime rate is soaring, very common expression for when the crime rate is going up, and whenever anything is soaring, it's very high in the air because birds soar, eagles soar. This is the 3rd one in the local area in the last month, so the authorities are under tremendous pressure to step up their efforts, to put more effort in. They're under tremendous pressure to put more effort in and make some arrests. Okay, so I hope all of those words are clear. Let's have a look at some of the comments. I've got Matrix here as well. Hello. Something about jabs. Not sure where you're coming from, Matrix, but I think you might be trying to wind me up. Anyway, we'll stop there for the moment. If you want to practice any of these crime words, then please go to Skype-lessons.com for all of the exercises that accompany these lessons. And please go there anyway for daily lessons. If you would like daily live English classes, then you need to get them from Skype-lessons.com, because you won't be getting them anywhere else. So hi, Lolly, and you are welcome as always. I know you are one of the most frequent visitors to these classes, and so I'm glad. I really do appreciate your support. You're always there right at the beginning, and here you are right at the end as well. Okay, so thanks, guys. I really appreciate you watching, and please head on to Skype-lessons.com for more of the same.